And that will hold really nicely for a while until we get down to, you know, sort of 800 pixels. And in here, well, we're outside of our media query, and so all the styling gets turned off. But also, it starts to look a little bit crowded, doesn't it? So this is the point when we can rewrite our CSS to make this look a little bit different for a tablet dimension. And so that would start, in our case, it starts around 800 pixels. So let's go ahead and write that part of it up. Here's our media query of 550 pixels, the min width. And I'm just going to scroll on down here, and we'll add in our navigation here. So I'm going to say nav-ul. I'm going to change this to justify content center. And I'm going to make use of my gap property, 1.2 ems. Here I'm using ems instead of rems because I want it to take advantage of the text size. So the gap will scale with the text size. That is true when you use em. If you use rem, that's our root relative em, and your gap will never scale because it's relative to the HTML tag. It'll be 16 pixels is one rem all the time, regardless of where you are in a document. But 1 em, that size can vary depending on what HTML element you're looking at. 1 em in an H1 is much larger than 1 em in a paragraph. Okay, then we'll have nav-li, and here we're going to have a flex basis of auto and a margin bottom of 0. So basically, I want to have my LIs be as wide as they are, rather than having being pushed off to the sides the way I just did on the desktop. And then here for my nav A, color var color 1. I know I did that outside for the mobile, but we're going to change the color on the mobile here in just a minute. So I'm going to redeclare that black color down here inside of my tablet media query, which will then carry into the desktop media query. The color, or the background color, will be transparent. Why? Because when we finally finish writing our mobile styles, we're going to have buttons that are going to be red, backgrounds with white text. And so here inside of this media query, we need to turn that off. So we've set our background color to transparent and our text color to black. Yeah, Mark.
Is it possible to set orders like this to guarantee an item would always be in the middle for, in the case of like a dynamic CMS where things can be added and removed from a header navigation menu?
Sure. So the trick here with getting things to look really pretty in the center with this type of technique is having an even number of navigation items so that the logo can wind up being in the center, and then you have however many additional navigation items on either side. If you have 3 on one side and 2 on the other, it's always going to look less balanced with this particular technique. But by using margin 0 auto, maybe some of that will get mitigated a little bit at least. But I would think that that would work okay with a CMS. I mean, the only issue is, as always, what happens when your users put in, you know, a dozen or 2 dozen navigation items, and how is that going to get handled? Is it going to wrap onto another line of navigation and so forth? So there are edges definitely to that for a CMS. Okay, so we've got the hover state. Nav A hover. Color is going to be var color 2. So nice teal green, and our background color, once again, transparent because it won't be on the mobile. I found the error. Okay, so I skipped over a very important setting that I had in the mobile that needed to be there to carry into the tablet, and I did not put it in. So let's put that in now. I am in the mobile portion of my styling. I am looking at roughly line 80 or so. And the important piece of my styling is this that I need to add. It is nav li first child. And what I said here was the flex basis is 100%. Hopefully one of you guessed that. The problem we were having, remember, was that the logo was on the same line with the other navigation items, and what we wanted the logo to be on its own line. So by setting the flex basis to 100%, that indeed puts the logo on its own line. And then we can also throw in a text align center, which will center that logo very nicely in the middle of the page. So once we have that in place, then when we go back to our Firefox here and refresh, now we have our logo in the center and we have our navigation there after it. So that was the piece that I'm missing. I apologize for that.